We begin this segment with an update from the Nigerian equities market. Temple joins us from the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Hello, Temple. Good afternoon. So what's the latest on today's trading in view of earnings expectations? At intraday, the market was in the red.
The market is still in the red, down some 0.37% after moderating from some 0.47%. But we've seen losses across major sectors like the oil and gas, the consumer goods segment of the market, and of course the industrial names. Some of the industrial giants that actually recorded gains yesterday are currently in losses. Talk about the likes of WAPCO, the Dangote Cement, which is also down yesterday, albeit the fact that in early trade we saw Dangote Cement rising a bit this morning, but currently it's down again. If you look at the banking segment, where we've seen more of exchange of transactions between investors and traders here, it's currently flat in terms of sectoral analysis right now. But Access Bank continues to maintain its momentum, rising daily by some percentage points, and it's currently the most actively traded in the market. However, the indices is flat at this point in time. So a lot of the companies, a lot of the banking names have been in red. I'll give you an example of Fidelity Bank, which has lost some more than 9% of its share price in the last 6 trading sessions in this market, and is currently, in terms of year-to-date returns, negative by some 3.92%. So it just tells you there's a whole lot of, there's been a lot of sell down, but we're expecting that to taper going forward. However, the buy side at this point is currently high. We've seen a rise in volume and value compared to what we've seen yesterday. And finally, we know that a couple of companies have also declared their results in the market. New Rest PLC, which is a company that has indicated interest in delisting from the Nigerian Stock Exchange, has proposed some dividends, and I know that a few traders are looking at that, even if it may not be very, very attractive. We've also seen earnings from the likes of Continental Reinsurance, and these are companies that have some kind of little earnings to be declared. That also had some kind of restructuring around it sometimes this year. But going forward, we expect a few small cap stocks to continue to drive the market. For example, MC Nichols is up some 10%, and Nigeria Police Microfinance Bank is currently up some 5% plus in the market. That's a company that will certainly be looking at meeting its recapitalization demand of the central bank. Chimeze.
Right. Well, it's true that the market is yet to close, but we seem to have seen 2 days of losses this week, yesterday, and what we're seeing is it looks like the market is going to close negative. Do you think this is going to continue for the rest of the week?
Well, it's likely to continue till we see the resumption of bargain hunting from some investors and from some dealers in this market, because the huge level of sell-off that we saw for the greater part of 2 weeks ago and last week seem to have been reducing. If you compare the volume and value of transactions between last week and to now, you'll see that there was a huge volume done in this preceding sessions compared to what we've started seeing since Monday. And so we expect today's transaction or trading day to also close in the negative, in the red, because sell-offs are still there. Elements of sell-off is still in transactions that we're seeing today, but it's beginning to reduce. The likes of companies that I mentioned earlier have actually seen their gains being eroded from the market. But if you compare the losses we've seen on these companies to what we saw previously, it was huge previously, but now it's beginning to reduce. By the time we get midweek and Thursday, we should see a little bit of bargain hunting resuming, because some prices would have really reduced enough for the traders to be, looking to, trade better on them by, possibly withholding first and then seeing if those companies will go on offer. If they go on offer, then they'll bid for it, and then the prices could come lower for some of these traders to be able to come in. So today we should expect a negative closing, except if something maybe miraculous actually happens on Dangote Cement, which is a heavyweight in the market, even though we know that it hasn't really been a determinant factor in recent times. Chimeze.
Well, miracles do happen, Temple. Miracles do happen. So it could happen anyway.
Absolutely.
Anyway, thank you.
Okay.
Zimbabwe plans to raise $350 million from the sale of stakes in 5 state-owned companies. The proceeds will help the Treasury achieve its target of reducing the budget deficit to 5% of gross domestic product from 12%. The government has identified 43 state-owned entities for reform. The firms earmarked for immediate sale are telecommunications companies Tel One Limited, Net One Limited, and Telcel Limited, the State Post Office Zimpost, and the People's Own Savings Bank. Work is already on the way to identify transaction advisors. And a Nigerian lifestyle brand is reliving contemporary African content in its furniture design using local hand-loomed fabric ashoke as its upholstery to show diversity in African designs and celebrate the country's culture. And as our own way to promote and encourage Made in Nigeria, Tosin Oshino says she uses locally sourced materials to create her furniture line.
Tosin Oshino is inspecting fabric for her latest chair design at her shop in Lagos, Nigeria. Tosin is the founder of Ileila, a company that incorporates traditional African fabric to make furniture. Ashoke is a hand-loomed traditional handmade fabric woven by the Yoruba community who come from southwest Nigeria. The 39-year-old, who is a trained architect, ventured into the business in 2018 after a friend commented about a set of chairs she made for her house.
The vision behind Ileila really was about celebration of self, celebration of culture, celebration of being Yoruba, celebration of being Nigerian, celebration of being African, and really trying to find a space in the market where creating strong, contemporary, authentic African bespoke furniture. We hadn't seen anything that kind of existed in that realm, and we wanted to fill that gap.
Tosin creates computer designs for her work, which she says helps her with quality and precision for her pieces. The entrepreneur then works with a team of carpenters and a tailor to build the chair frames and fit the upholstery. The chairs come in different themes. Erimilokun, for example, is a chair whose name means hippopotamus in local Yoruba language. It was inspired by a similar chair once made for the Yoruba king.
It's not an imitation chair of another company or another designer. And being able to take the importance of design, aesthetic, and marry it with authentic African in terms of the materials that we use, I think is really what makes the brand strong.
The chairs sell between 300,000 naira to 700,000 naira. Tosin says she has sold over 200 pieces since starting out.
I like the traditional feeling about it. While I was growing up, I think my dad has a chair like this, and it's called one Yoruba name, Agbantara or something. So, and I like the fact that it comes in the traditional material that is ashoke, which I kind of like.
The funding that will allow us to buy the machinery to be able to produce this on such a large scale that the time is reduced, that we can bring the price of the product down. I think that's really where I would like to focus my attentions on as a small business. If we are able to push that forward and get more of them out, reduce the price, pass on the saving to the end customer, and get more people having a Ileila product.
Tosin says part of our aim is to support and promote Made in Nigeria products.
And with that, we wrap up today's edition of the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwagu.